There are some things that people just really don't want to talk about, like money, birds and the bees, or say death. Well, today I'm going to talk about one of those things, and it's death, because I think it has a lot to do with what hesitancies people might have when it comes to the latest, greatest scientific breakthrough of all time, the vaccine. So my name is Dr. Megan, the Prednisone Pharmacist. And for those of you who are seeing me for the first time, you might be wondering, who is she and why should I listen? So I have a Doctor of Pharmacy degree. I'm a pharmacist, and I have been publishing as the Prednisone Pharmacist for 2 years. I help people not just survive prednisone, but thrive while on prednisone. And one of the ways that I help them thrive is by helping them do all the things that will help decrease side effects and increase survivability. Help you to live the highest quality life possible. And I want to start all of this out by saying that I didn't plan to go viral last week. Last week I made a video about the vaccine and it got shared very widely. There were so many comments on it, I couldn't even read them all. It was amazing. And I tried to respond to as many as possible. And so if you have a question about the vaccine, please let me know. I want to know so I can make more videos to help explain. So one of the things that I was trying to help people understand was the risks and benefits of vaccines. And I wanted to preface that with a story. And this story, I think many people have heard because it's in the Bible. This story, if you remember Moses, he's that little baby who was floating down the river, and he was raised by the Egyptian princess and he became the prince of Egypt. And then he left, came back and said, let my people go, because he found out he was actually one of the actual Hebrews. And God sent all of these miracles. He sent river turning to blood. And can you name them all? Can you name all the other things that happened? All of these curses, these plagues, these terrible things that happened that made the Pharaoh change his mind and say, okay, fine, whatever, take all the slaves. I'll have to build my pyramids another way. What is another plague that God sent? Anybody know? It's in Numbers 21. And it said they were whining that they had to eat manna all day long. And it said, there's no bread or water. We detest this wretched food. By the way, this cute little Bible, we just got a pandemic puppy. I know. Can you believe that? And the breeder sent us this cute Bible. So I thought I would read out of it. The Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and they bit them so that many Israelites died. So what does that have to do with anything, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is the pandemic we are going through is a lot like those snakes, okay? So while you're listening, think the pandemic, COVID is like the snakes. And they asked Moses to get God to send the snakes away. Then the Lord said to Moses, make a snake image and mount it on a pole. When anyone who is bitten looks at it, he will recover. So Moses made a bronze snake and mounted it on a pole. Whenever someone was bitten and he looked at the bronze snake, he recovered. So people back then were just as afraid as we are of death, of dying of some plague. And they said, Moses, please give us something. And what was that something? They had to look at pretend like this was the pole and there was a snake mounted on it. And all they had to do was just look, and they would live. I think in every society, humans just want to survive. We just want to live. You can see it in Harry Potter. Lord Voldemort splits himself into 7 pieces by murdering people and having all these objects hidden through magical ways. He just wanted to survive. He wanted to become immortal. And then in Lord of the Rings, Gollum, he has the ring, and he sacrifices all of his life basically just to have this ring that allowed him to live forever. So People want to live. And what are the ways that we can prolong our life? And I think one of the things that people are most concerned about with the vaccine is it actually going to prolong my life, or is it going to shorten my life? And I have the wonderful news for you is that it is a miracle. It is 100% effective at preventing death from COVID. 100. Like, there are no exceptions. It prevents death. And guess what? The next thing is that it prevents moderate to severe disease. So essentially, if you get the vaccine, it's no longer a plague that's going to kill you. It's no longer a plague that's going to make you even be hospitalized. It's just basically a common cold. How amazing is that? It's just this really cold. Like, we go from having the hospitals full, from having people dying all the time, from having more people die in 2020 than in any other year. Whether it's from suicide or heart attacks or COVID, way. 70,000 people more per month died in the United States in 2020 than any of the previous 5 years. There were a ton of deaths, and we don't want that. We want to live. So, getting the vaccine increases your chance of living if you get infected with COVID. That is amazing. This is the greatest scientific breakthrough of this century, or maybe of all time, that we are able to get this vaccine in such quick time. And you might be wondering, why would she be bothering to say something like this? Is she getting paid? Guess what? I'm my own boss. There's nobody paying me. I don't work for a drug company. I don't have any employer of any kind. I am just me. I run my own company. And so there are some other myths that people were commenting on that I just want to comment in response. So one of them is, well, can't you just rely on your immune system? Well, that would be great if you're not taking prednisone. Relying on your own immune system is a wonderful tactic for those who have an intact immune system. But when taking prednisone, your immune system is suppressed. And that's why people on prednisone are one of the eligible population to get the vaccine in my state at this point. I'm not sure about your state and the rules of distributing the vaccine, but in my state, just taking prednisone alone, long term, makes you eligible to get the vaccine, because, I'm back to the topic of this, it increases your risk of death. Taking prednisone increases your risk of dying from COVID. So, if you're taking prednisone, you have a more chance of dying from COVID. If you get the vaccine, you have a 100% prevention of death due to COVID. This is amazing. Okay, so we first addressed, can't you rely on your immune system? No, you can't if you have prednisone in your body. That's not an option. Okay, what about, why can't you just take natural things? Well, actually, I fully endorse that. You should be giving yourself all the natural options you can get, whether it's being in the sun and getting natural vitamin D to have the highest vitamin D levels you possibly can, because there's a correlation between low vitamin D and risk of death from COVID. So get as much vitamin D as you possibly can. What about vitamin C? Awesome, get it. What you might not know is I actually have a product that I sell. I personally designed this to help people on prednisone, not to cure COVID, but to give back the nutrients that they need. That if you're taking prednisone, it's depleting things like calcium from your bones, and this gives them back. And so it also has 100% of your daily value of of vitamin C and vitamin D, two of the things that have been shown to help in your immune system. So yes, you should do all the things you possibly can to boost your immune system, to get everything in your favor. So if that's not all, then what's the concern? Well, it's not that can't be enough for people on prednisone. It's not enough. Do all the things. That's my foundation of my entire, everything I've ever taught, the hundreds of videos I have on YouTube, is let's do all the things we can to layer your ability to succeed while on prednisone. Taking vitamin D, taking vitamin C, awesome, those help. Getting the vaccine helps a ton. It is so helpful that it prevents death. Okay, what about side effects from the vaccine? What about, did you even get it, Dr. Megan? Well, yes, actually, I got the vaccine. It was a fascinating experience because, like my father-in-law said, I've never seen so many old people in one place, because all those cute little old ladies with their walkers and men with their staffs, they all walked in to get their arms poked because they know that their risk of death is pretty high being elderly. And I got my vaccine, and because I have a history of anaphylactic reactions to things, they made me stay for an extra 30 minutes. And so I just sat there, no problems. To be honest, here are the reactions I had. So my friend, she was texting me, and then I would put my phone away in my back pocket, and then I would try to pick it up. And that action of trying to pick it up was so hard. It hurt to just lift my arm like that. So if you're really concerned about being able to pull your phone out of your back pocket, don't get the vaccine because it's not worth it. Just kidding. That's just not a big deal because it went away. I'm totally fine now. And then if you were to have any other reactions, what would you do? I heard tons of people saying, well, this is such an unsafe vaccine because it's so underreported, all of these side effects. And actually, there are more side effects reported on this than any other vaccine. And why would I tell you that? Because what's amazing is we have an app. Like, you can just pull up your phone, download this app called the V-Safe app, and you can report every single reaction you get. Everything from injection site pain to fever to cold, whatever reaction you're having, you can report it. And they text you and they ask you. They're trying to get you to give the information so that we know every piece of detail we can get, so that we know, does this vaccine cause blank, blank, blank side effects? We know because people are reporting it on their own smartphone. They don't have to wait for their doctor. But if you are having a serious reaction, definitely tell your doctor. But if you're just wondering, hey, I'm having this eye pain, is that normal? And you can just put it in there and say, I'm having eye pain that's I don't know how else to describe it. And then they follow up if it's a big concern, or if it's not to be expected, if it's unique, if it's not just fever, chills, aches, all of those typical concerns that people have. You can just put it in on the app and the V-Safe, and then everyone will know. And if you have a really big concern, you can report it to VAERS. And of the thousands upon thousands of things that have been reported to VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, only a few of them have been serious. 95% or more have been expected, mild reactions. There have been a very few severe reactions, but the risks of a very few severe reactions are about this big compared to your risks of a very severe reaction to actually getting COVID is way bigger. Now, let's talk about the vaccine itself. What the heck is it? And, isn't it like gene therapy or poison or a crime against humanity? Well, actually, let's pretend like COVID is a bomb and you are a person who wants to make a bomb and you have the blueprints for this bomb. And you need somebody else to make a part of that bomb for you. For example, if you were making a real bomb, you'd say, well, I need somebody to create the fuel pump for me. And so you'd send them your plans, your blueprints, and you'd mail them a letter with the blueprints for that fuel pump. And they'd say, oh, okay, I know what blueprints are. I will make that based on your plans and send it to you. So this vaccine is essentially the blueprints for not the virus, but just the spike protein on the outside of the virus. It's not the actual protein itself. It's just the plans for that protein. And then it's wrapped in this really magical molecule that you can read every single ingredient online and find out that they're all normal things. There's fats, salts, sugar, and water. That's what your body's made of. It's all of those same types of ingredients. What's great about the mRNA vaccines is that they don't need adjuvants like other vaccines in the past. Adjuvants were things that would like kick your immune system and say, this is bad, you should attack it. We don't need that because this technology is so amazing. Now, what about, oh, it's not tested, it's so new, it happens so fast. Well, actually, people are concerned that it doesn't have enough testing. There's not been enough time. And what we would normally do is we'd have these really, really rare conditions like polio or something. And we'd have to wait for enough people to get infected versus prevent the disease. And it took forever to get enough people infected that it was just really hard to run those tests very quickly. Whereas with COVID, tons of people are sick. So it's really easy to do a test in a short time period to know whether it's effective or not. And we know that it's 100% effective at preventing death. But what about safety? Do we have any great research for that? Well, we test that in person years. So if we tested 100 people for 3 months, that's 25 person years. And we have millions of person years of data now to know how safe this vaccine is. And the great thing is it's available for everyone to look it up. You can go and check out the data yourself and find out if it's safe or not. Let's see, let me look at my list of other things that I was hoping to help address if you had any questions. Okay, so I talked about a little about the ingredients. Let me clarify. There is no formaldehyde in it. There are no microchips. There are no fetuses. There's nothing like that. It's simple, plain ingredients that are not going to inject you with any bizarre substance that your body can't break down. You're not going to be suddenly be a 5G network or have Bill Gates following you in any way. If you're really concerned about somebody, Big Brother watching you, like this is my phone right here. I'm telling the whole world where I am at any time by carrying my phone. Like Apple knows where I am. Any app I'm using that I've given my address, they know where I am. So if that's your concern, just stop using the internet. Anyway, okay, let's see. We've talked about gene therapy. It's not gene therapy because it's actually mRNA. That doesn't go into your DNA. It's not changing your DNA in any way. What about vaccines being an unnatural way to fight COVID? So homeopathy is a really interesting philosophy. It's where you give like to help combat like. It's where you give a little teeny tiny bit of something and that's supposed to treat everything. And that's basically what a vaccine is it's a really natural way of treating this pandemic, of preventing death. All right, what else? What questions do you have? You want a proof of my arm? I can show you. I posted the picture on Instagram and Facebook. It's all over. You can see it. You can check it out. All right. So basically, for people on prednisone, you're at the highest risk of poor outcomes with COVID. And the vaccine is proven 100% to prevent death. So it is my recommendation that you get the vaccine. Talk to your doctor about it. Make sure that it's right for you, but get the vaccine, download the VSafe app, report any weird things that you notice. Let us all know, contribute to the data so that we can have the best information possible. And let me know what other questions you have. I'd love to know when you get it, what your reactions are, because mine was weird. Oh, the other thing I had that was weird is I was like, it shouldn't have been weird to me. But I was so exhausted at 8:30 at night. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like midnight, guys. It was just 8:30. So what weird reactions are you going to have? Let me know what you've experienced if you've had it. And signing off as Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.